to tell that story because the power dynamics are so important in a relationship, and especially if you're having a relationship with someone you work for.
Right.
And we all know the potential pitfalls. I worked for Bob Johnson for 10 years before we had a personal romantic relationship, and he was a mentor, and he pushed me, and he's responsible for a lot of my success. We did have a relationship while we were both married. We ended up both divorced, and then people knew about the relationship. The company knew, public, we started going places together. The downfall of a relationship like that is if you want to get out of it. And that's the part where it came, and I wanted to break up. I saw it wasn't a long-term relationship, and my job and my career was held over my head.
Pull them panties off, pull them panties off, pull them panties off on the dance floor. Pull them panties off, pull them panties off, pull them panties off on the dance floor.
I ain't got no panties on, ain't got no panties on, I ain't got no panties on the dance floor. I ain't got no panties on, ain't got no panties on, I ain't got no panties on the dance floor.
Keep me a scotch on the rocks, it's gonna be out of my socks. They be getting out the car on the way to the bar and they be ordering shots. We got this rap game on lock, I spit hot ones off the top. They tell me slow down, but I won't stop. Never win it with a dime play, don't block. If it ain't ice, then they hit it, don't rock. We put it down, then we open up shop. People get near me, then they get shot. We always put it down on this block. Play claim one set, then the flip flop. Mess around, get a hit in the hip lock. That's what's sort of a hit against we rock. Now give me my shot on the rocks.
I ain't got no panties on, ain't got no panties on, I ain't got no panties on the dance floor. I ain't got no panties on, ain't got no panties on, I ain't got no panties on the dance floor.
Pull them panties off, pull them panties off, pull them panties off on the dance floor. Pull them panties off, pull them panties off, pull them panties off on the dance floor.
I ain't got no panties on, ain't got no panties on, I ain't got no panties on the dance floor. I ain't got no panties on, ain't got no panties on, I ain't got no panties on the dance floor.
I pop bottles of champagne and pull up in vets. They was only in it for a minute of cheap sex. The only thing was on her mind was Freak Fest. While I'm sitting drinking, thinking like, what's next? She say, come on, wax, let me show you what's up under the dress. I said, sorry, baby, I don't party without the latex, but let's say that, yeah, we smoke a blill and chill. Okay, little mama, look, here's the deal. I'm protected, so get naked, don't feel embarrassed to chill. Give me that.
I want this to be like another life lesson for you kings out there, okay? In all walks of life and whatnot. You know, a lot of times in the workplace, man, we run into adversity from people that share our melanin content. More often than not, they don't share our gender, if you get my drift. And you always go on the job, and you know somebody's doing something behind the closed doors and shit. You can just tell they have like you can tell when somebody's real personal with the other person and shit. I've seen it. I've seen it and shit. As a matter of fact, when I was in the military earlier in my life, um, a woman was exposed, unintentionally and shit. Okay, in the military, you have to do a physical fitness test and shit at intervals and shit. And we was doing our 2K run, and this one woman came in with a better running time than two athletes, one Olympic level guy and another like an all star or whatever, all American, excuse me. Like she beat their time and shit. And it was revealed that the guy, the drill sergeant doing the test, was having an affair with her, and he just marked her off a time, and he didn't, he wasn't thinking about it. It ended up being a big, kind of a mess and shit. He got in some trouble. And he kind of faded. We didn't see him for a while. That was in Virginia, and she was, a lot of sisters, a lot of women just getting it in. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about actually the recent revelation that the founder of BET and his CEO, whatever her title was, Debra Lee, had an affair and shit. They had like two phases of an affair and shit. He was in a mentor position to her, as she puts it, and she talked about the power dynamics of, being in a relationship, and extramarital relationship later. They were still messing around, from time to time and shit. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because nothing is sacred and shit. I remember when August Alsina started aired out Jada Pinkett Smith's draws in public and shit, and a lot of people was dragging them, calling them names, calling them a beta male, all this bullshit. And I stood by August Alsina on that. I still stand by him on that. And I think that more men that are messing around with these women in public office and stars and shit. They should start doing what these goddamn women doing and tell about them. Tell their dirty secrets. Okay, I think the public needs to know and shit what they do, how they do it and shit. Okay, because we're tired of this. There's no discretion whatsoever fucking ever and shit. Okay, I seen women circumvent NDAs to still run their mouth and snitch on the guy and shit, okay? And here we have this woman. She's in her twilight years. She's written memoirs. She's decided to put something in there that shouldn't have been in there. She could have made something inspiring for the people the people that she cares about, other women like herself. Okay? Nothing for guys whatsoever. Okay? And I don't give a shit. I'm not here to talk about, the CEO of BET getting it in and clapping our cheeks and shit. What I am talking about is this exposes a lot of women and shit in the workplace and whatnot. A lot of the sisters and shit. David Carroll used to talk about this shit all the time. It's a fucking prophet. And I personally saw it as shit, in my workplace and whatnot. I actually saw a woman get like 2 Employee of the Month awards in one sitting, and then they made up an award and just gave her some extra money. I don't know who even like me, myself, and other workers were like, man, she must have been sucking a golf ball through a fire hose and shit, okay? And I never shitted on her. I never shitted on her fucking ass about that crap. Other people shitted on her, okay? And this woman right here, she don't know how to keep her mouth shut, okay? I think it sucks. What does she gain by putting that in print? Okay, she want to sell her book by any means necessary. So she gonna put some salacious crap in there. Okay, we can see that she was never really no looker and shit. Okay, she was a light skinned octoroon woman and shit. And I guess I guess the founder of BET, he wanted to clap them cheeks and shit. And she was doing it. She was trading sex for business opportunities. I'll put it that way. Yeah, she was sleeping around. Because she said that, everything that she's ever accomplished is suspect and whatnot. We're going, well, how do you know you didn't just fuck everybody? It's the same argument we use for the current vice president, the sitting vice president of this country, who was known to be in a number of affairs, and not the least of which was the fucking what was like the mayor of San Francisco and the governor, or they one in the same Larry, whatever. It escapes me right now. I think you all know who the vice president is and her history. Even being like riding Montel Williams' arms, the talk show host. Riding his fucking arm in this stupid dancing. Yeah, this woman, nothing is sacred. There's no discretion. That's what I'm talking about, okay? All right, and I hated that. I always hated that in the workplace. I'm gonna be honest and shit. Like in my entire life, I messed around with one person from my job, one fucking person. That shit was so nasty and devastating that I never did that shit again. Even though I had women coming at me and shit. I want to say I'm proud to say I never did that shit again. And I was so adamant about never doing that shit again. I was oblivious when women were coming at me and shit. Even a foreign porn star came at me, man. Or a current porn star, I will put it that way. Oh, man. Debra Lee is a musty, okay? A musty thought. She's a 304, okay? As far as I'm concerned, that she want to talk about this shit. She was in a sitting position. Nobody exposed her ass. Nobody demanded, that she get out of her chair and shit. The CEO, the founder of the shit, owned the fucking thing. He could do what he want. She's just a whore. She's a bed wench. Okay? This time for a brother. But, like the way she talked, I guess they kind of forced her out of her job and shit anyway. She aged out. She obviously, be honest, she looked like a fucking mummy. That bitch looked like Aztec mummy and shit from old Mexican movies. That bitch looked like Aztec mummy. All right? and her pussy is dried up. Okay, that she got fucking sands of Egypt in it. All right, and she's sitting up running her mouth, putting people on blast. I don't think that's cool, man. I don't. Did she get a? I don't hear her say that she got no okay from, Bob, whatever, to put his name in there, and to put his. Didn't even talk about that shit. Even if he found out, I would have had somebody. I would have had a lawyer or something get that book before it came out and look at it and shit and be like, oh, we need to file an injunction. You got to take these pages out of this, but you got to redact that. Okay? One thing I like to say, like, when women don't got shit left, they don't care. They don't give a fuck. They let it all hang out. They let all, you see the most nasty and gross shit, about them and shit. They just reveal who they are. Okay, then she had nothing left. She's busted and shit. They'll drag your name into the mud. They'll destroy your name, destroy your image, destroy your business, destroy you personally, physically, spiritually, and shit, just to get a bag a lot of times. Okay? Think about all the guys they got outed for, creeping around and shit, doing all this shit. Like okay, let's say like Future, we got all them goddamn kids and shit by different, thoughts and shit, Just think if they all kept their mouth shut. Okay? No, they didn't keep their mouth shut. They're busy, siphoning resources from them. Fucking vampires, economic vampires and shit. Lazy. Ah, man. Sorry, sorry. It's all too much for me, man. I really wish I didn't hear this shit. I never respected her. I never respected her boss who was clapping her cheeks. I hope he really was giving it to her, man. I hope he was like that, man. Like, you know, because like for a long time, a lot of sisters waved this woman. They waved Debra Lee over her head as some kind of example of a boss chick or whatever you want, a boss bitch, whatever. They waved over her head and shit. And every last one of these goddamn boss chicks got some fucking skeletons in their closet. I mean, big as fuck and shit, man, like a mammoth. Big as a mammoth, woolly mammoth skeleton and shit. A T-Rex skeleton in the closet of shit they done. Got on their fucking hands and knees, topping the motherfuckers off, bending over, going on business trips and shit. Did it all. This woman admitted she cheated on her husband, with her boss. And he was cheating on his wife, obviously. But you know how it is when you're a man of power and shit? They can see you. You light up like a beacon, and then here they come. Okay? It's up to you to have some kind of intestinal fortitude or to be able to filter through which ones are actually smart enough to understand a non-disclosure agreement and shit. And I want to tell you, you brothers, especially you kings on the lower level of things, the lower echelon of things, hey, nothing's off the table. You tell about her dirty shit. I want a bunch of these pookies and these fuckboys that start putting out books too and shit. Talk about how they saw skid marks in the bitch panties and she fought it or whatever. Just tell them those nastiest shit and be crass about it, okay? Yeah, I was gonna have some white knights out there, like calling you names and shit and flicking shit like a porch monkey. You know, they're the real female tampons and shit. The white knight for this bullshit, this double standard ass bullshit. And then these women, these same fucking women, are the women you see up here trying to gig somebody for some dollars with Gloria Allred talking about how they were groomed, and taken advantage of and shit. But they went to Harvard and shit, and they got this number of degrees, the MBA, all this shit. Oh, I was on this team and that team because someone fucked you. Okay, somebody wants some pussy off you and shit. Okay, in my whole working career, like I respected women that was just straight up about it. Okay, I respected it. Now a couple of women just said, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck my way to the top and shit." You know, and actually, a South Asian woman, thick as fuck, who went to like she was working in as a vendor in my last company, and she had opportunity to interview with the manager of where I worked, like the top manager, and she went there. She went to the interview with a man's shirt on, okay, a long sleeve, like the equivalent of a man's shirt, okay, with no bottom and some heels, and she ended up working. She ended up working in accounting and shit. Okay, he had a closed door meeting and shit. I thought it was so funny, me being me. The geek is always the geek, even in real life and shit. When like I saw her going there, And I mean, I could just bend over and like act like I'll tie my shoe. I could see the bottom of her panties. You know, like when she went in that office and they closed the door, the dude got up and closed the door, and he was a non-foundational, by the way. He got up and closed the door. I thought it would be funny to wait like 5 minutes and then knock on it real loud and shit. And he opened the door and he was super flustered, and she was sitting there looking weird with a flushed face as well. And I just asked like the most bullshit, frivolous question. He was so fucking mad. He biting his lower lip. This non-foundational brother, I was shooed away. And then me and my cohorts had a hearty laugh before I went home from my wage slaving that day. It was fucking awesome as shit. When I look at Deborah Lee, I don't see anything to aspire to. Okay? I don't see anything to aspire to. She might as well have been walking the strip in like an affluent area and looking into car windows and turn around and pulling her dress up and showing what she got going on back there and making a deal.
I ain't got no panties